We went over to play Farrell. They had a middle linebacker by the name of Annunzio Baducci. When Annunzio was in high school for a shop class project, he made an electric chair. Gave it to his father for Father's Day. He had the kind of face Bob looked like he'd run a 100-meter dash in a 90-meter gym. He would have been outstanding in track, except when the starter fired the gun and he fired back. I think the thing that hurt us when we played Farrell were our cheers. I don't know who wrote our cheers. Must have been a philosophy major, a doctor from Grove City College. We had cheers like Big Apple, Little Apple, Susie Q. Come on, team, we're rooting for you. Doesn't motivate you. Farrell would go back in the huddle, which intimidated us. We thought they were talking about us standing. And then they'd open the line and look at us and go, Gala, soul power, you all be dead in about an hour. Dave, I had the opportunity to be a volunteer chapel in a program called Baseball Chapel. You know about that program then, Baseball Chapel. And for an assignment, I had the Cubs. So anybody who's been chaplain for the Cubs has to be a man of faith. The Cubs have had a bad century. When I was chaplain for the Cubs, we were the only team that could play a doubleheader and lose 3 games. If we got rained out, we'd have a victory rally. When I was chaplain for the Cubs, the crowds at Wrigley Field were so small, we didn't bother to sing the national anthem before the start of the game. 50 of us would get down by home plate and sing Feelings. It was so much more intimate. And Harry Carey would come on the public address system and say, the lady with the lost 9 children, please claim them. They're beating the Cubs 21-0. That was in the year the Cubs found out what they had in common with the pop singer Michael Jackson. They both wore gloves for no apparent reason. So it was a challenge. And then working with the Bears was not much easier. We had a quarterback that stuttered and a center that was ticklish. And we never knew what was going to happen when we got our hands on the ball. Didn't Pastor Jeff just hit the ball out of the park tonight with that invocation? Wasn't that good? You know, I was speaking in a church the other day, and the preacher got the pound on the pulpit. He said, how many of you want to go to heaven? Just put up your hand. Well, every hand in the place shut up except for one little kid sitting down in the front row. He said, Bobby, don't you want to go to heaven when you die? He said, I'd like to go when I die. I thought you're getting up a group to go right now. Last spring, I was speaking at a church in Chicago. I felt so sorry for the young associate. He went in to see the senior pastor. He said, nobody listens to me when you want me to get up here in the morning and start things, and they're getting their tic-tac-toe tournament ready to blast through one of your boring messages and pass out their mints. And he said, nobody pays any attention to me. And he said, I just think I'm going to quit. Well, he knew, the senior pastor knew what this Hall of Fame inductees knew. He said to him, son, it's always too soon to quit. He said, well, what can I do? He said, well, if you want to get people's attention on a Sunday morning in church, you've got to start with a startling opening statement. Get something, Ed, you got to have something that will grab them and get their attention. He said, well, what can I do? He said, well, Mother's Day is only 2 weeks away. We've got a special service to honor the women that are here tonight. And ladies, we do honor you. And you are important. How many know behind every successful man stands a surprise mother-in-law? And my wife and I had words tonight before the meeting. Unfortunately, I didn't get to use any of mine. I said to her the other night, I said, I'll be home at 6:30, at which time I'd like to have my favorite meal prepared. I'd like that to be followed by my favorite dessert. And I said, I'm going to watch Monday Night Football, clean off the recliner, put that remote on the right-hand side. I want to watch some football. She said, well, I believe you love football more than you do me. I said, well, maybe, but I sure love you more than I do basketball. And she said, I want the remote. And I said, at 11 o'clock tonight, Angie, I said to her, 11 o'clock, I'll be taking a shower. And when I come out of that shower, you know who will be toweling me off? You know who will be putting talcum powder on my body? She said, yes, I do. And I said, who would that be? She said, the funeral director. Well, this senior pastor said to this young fellow, he said, son, if you want to get their attention, start with a start and open statement. You give them something and we'll grab them. He said, well, what could I use? He said, well, let's think of it. Mother's Day is coming. He said, why don't you do this? He said, when you get up, why don't you say some of the happiest hours of your life have been spent in the arms of another man's wife? Now he said, I'm telling you, on Sunday morning in church, that will get their attention. But he said, you better tie that in, that was your mother of whom you were speaking. Some of the happiest hours of your life have been spent in your mother's arms. He said, I'll come up and tie it in with a nice promotion for the Mother's Day service. We've got special music, flowers, everything's going to be wonderful. He said, well, I'll try that. Well, Sunday morning he got up and was all spit shining and polished. Said, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. He said, I'll have you to know that some of the happiest hours of my life have been spent in the arms of another man's wife. Well, his little red-headed wife was sitting about 8 pews back, and he had forgotten to inform her of his new attention-getting technique. Well, she didn't wait to get out to the aisle to come after this guy. She just threw her down her hymnal and started crawling right up over the pews. Out of the corner of his eye, he sees her coming, got all flustered and shook up and said, for the life of me, I can't remember who it was. I'd like to share just a couple of ideas tonight from a book at Walmart, which is where I plan to be buried. That way my wife can visit my grave twice a week. And I know Christmas is over. Our stockings were hung by the chimney with care. We've worn them for months. They needed the air. And I was in a beautiful Christmas service, and I was just singing away, lead on, lead on. My wife said, hey, I think that hymnal's upside down. That's supposed to be Noel, the Noel. But